welcome everyone to our live Q&A with Verve partner and literary agent David Boxerbaum. I'm Sadie Dean. I am with Final Draft and I oversee all of our live events here. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to our moderator, Adip Desai. There he is.
I'm here.
All right, well, take it away and thank you so much for your time tonight.
Yeah, thank you. Hey, everybody. My name is Adip Desai. I'm a TV writer. I also run the LA TV Writers Facebook group, which has nearly 16,000 people on it. So you may have run into me at some point. And so today we are having a nice chat with a super agent, David Boxerbaum. I think everyone knows who he is. But here's his bio. He's a prominent literary agent and partner at Verve, representing top-tier talent, including showrunners, franchise builders, and huge horror helmers. That's really hard to say. While he has earned his reputation as the best in the spec game, David also champions a diverse roster of writers and directors and is known for his ability to find voices and to jump-start careers. He began his career working for producer Jerry Bruckheimer before moving to the William Morris Agency, then Endeavor, then Paradigm, where he cemented himself as a leader within the agency and the lit field. And as part of the Verve partnership, David was involved in the monumental decision to sign the WGA Code of Conduct in May 2019. Woo! And in response to the, and in the move to up assistant pay in response to the hashtag Pay Up Hollywood initiative. So that's a lot. I mean, that's like barely anything that, that's like a scratch of what David has done. So David, why don't you come on in and yeah, we'll have a nice chat.
There we go. That bio, my God.
Who wrote Jesus, that bio, man. Tripped 3 H words in a
I'm exhausted.
row.
I'm exhausted just from hearing that bio.
I know, I need a nap. Okay, so how's COVID going? Let's start there. It's the elephant in the room. Like,
sure.
How are you doing? How are you surviving? Yeah, I mean, how are you personally? And then like, how is it affecting your work as an agent?
I mean, listen, I think we're all figuring out what COVID means, and kind of in the sense of like, well, I'm just gonna hide myself view. I don't like looking at myself on this thing. But I think it's been an obvious kind of rocky road to figure out when it comes to not just life but work in general. We've just in my household, we've managed to kind of find a rhythm that works for us and kind of figure out how to stay safe and healthy and all of that. But when it comes to the actual work itself, the agency has been thankfully still been thriving in a way that we're excited about, and putting many people to work and trying to find the new roads to travel down that this pandemic has given us. So it hasn't been easy by any means, and I think we're all every day is a new day that we all find different obstacles to get over and to figure out. But it's been interesting. It's definitely changed the course of how you appreciate opportunities as they come, and it's obviously it's changed the course of the landscape of the business as we've seen it clearly, with now streaming becoming the main kind of main kind of entertainment, so to be, minus theatrical, being an avenue these days.
Right. And are you seeing, most of your clients are still able to sort of remain on shows that they're working on, or has it been kind of tricky, like,
Yeah, I mean, listen, I have to say, for us, it's been, we've seen a lot of these new rooms that were obviously in-person TV rooms, talking purely about television here.
Yeah, TV.
I do both TV and features, but like in TV, for sure, seeing a lot of the TV rooms in person turn to virtual rooms has been interesting, but I've seen a lot of it be positive for many of our clients. And I haven't seen a real downshift in clients having the opportunity to be a part of these rooms, or these rooms having to cut clients. I think probably less are being hired from the start, because
Sure.
budget concerns and kind of time frame and all that. But I think when it comes to the actual clients that were on shows that turned from in-person to virtual rooms, I didn't really see a downshift in then cutting staff, at
Okay.
least from my end.
Right. Cool. So Verve, when you guys signed the code of conduct, like you guys got a massive amount of
Sure.
interest from like big time writers, and you already had, several, but what was that like having sort of people like John August come in, and what does that do to an agency when that kind of thing happens?
Yeah, no, listen, when we signed the code, obviously we did it for the reasons that have always been about what Verve is, right? Voices heard, artists first. It's always been our mantra. It's always been about what we stand for. So there was never any, clearly we took a lot of consideration and we thought about it and we made sure we did the best for the company and for our clients and for the people, involved in our company and for our associates and all the employees. And obviously again for the clients, but when it came down to signing the code and then seeing the kind of as you want to use, onslaught of incoming business, we've always been very particular about who we bring into the agency. For us, it's always been about, we have to believe in the voice. We have to believe, and especially speaking for myself, we have to believe in the voice, we have to believe in the career. We have to believe that there's a trajectory that's kind of the win behind your sales kind of mentality, right? So we had a lot of interest, but we stuck to what was always true to us, which is about, do we believe? And if we believe, then great. We were excited about some of the opportunities that came in, John August being a great example. And there were others where we didn't feel that it would be beneficial to bring into our agency. And not just because these people weren't talented or deserved to be a part of the agency. It's merely about if we believe, the right relationship. Everything about an agent client relationship should be back is it very symbiotic? Does it feel organic? And for us, some of it just didn't feel like we were as excited as needed to be able to take that kind of path.
Right. Well, that's a great segue into like the question that everybody asks you, I'm sure, and asks me a lot. And it's like, what gets an agent to believe in a writer and want to represent a writer, like generally speaking, and even like specifically for you in terms of voice and that kind of thing?
Yeah, I can speak for myself, because obviously everybody's different. Everybody's gonna have their own opinion on what excites them, inspires them. So, someone that I've grown up in this business, it's been a long time, feels like it. I think some of the gray hair may show that. But I've always been inspired by voices. I've always been inspired. And what is a voice, so to speak? Everybody always says it, uses that word. I've always been inspired by great character, great dialogue, something that moves me, and there's no real clear formula to what that is. There's no like, well, if it's somebody that comes from here, or someone does this, someone that has done this. It's really about what's on the page, what's in front of me, what do I watch, what visually or on the page excites me, inspires me, moves me emotionally. I've always gone with my gut in my career, and it's always 95% of the time paid off, right? You always got to trust and believe in yourself. And that's kind of what has helped me, I think, kind of on the road and kind of the ascension in my career. So for me, I've always said this, and I've done a couple of these panels or whatever it may be, Q&As here and there. And I've always said, great talent finds a way, right? Like if you are someone that has the ability and has a talent, by no means is it easy to get an agent. By no means is it easy to get a manager or a lawyer representation, period. But I've always believed in it, and I will believe in it to the day I'm not doing this, is that great talent will always find a way. Great writing will find its way to the top. The cream rises to the top.
Right.
And so I believed it. It's happened, and I believe in my career I have found kind of the cream of the crop from the process of just believing and kind of believing in myself, kind of what speaks to me. That kind of answer your question?
Yeah, that's good. I mean, that's I think a lot of people want to hear the formula.
And it might sound a little Pollyanna, like, oh, everything is so great.
Right.
By the way, I honestly, I truly appreciate how difficult it is, right? Like, it is truly difficult to get a script to the process of getting to somebody, a legitimate agent, not just myself, anybody in this business,
Just anybody. Yeah.
help change the course of your career, who can help, kind of get you on a path. And I appreciate every day what anybody on this panel, or sorry, anybody who's viewing this panel, any writer out in the marketplace, director,
Sure.
artist, whatever it may be, storyteller,
Yeah.
goes through to get to this process, because it's not easy.
Yeah.
And I
No.
commend, and I'm humbled by the position I sit in, that I get to represent such great voices in this business.
Mhm.
I wish I could represent everybody. I really wish I could. I
What,
don't think I have time in the day.
in terms of like what you do like what have you seen maybe in the last year or two in television and features that really connected with you in terms of taste, and you're like, oh, I wish I had that, that client or that kind of thing?
I mean, I don't think I ever, it's a good question. I don't think I ever really say to myself, I wish I had that person. To me, I'm always inspired by storytellers in general. So I'm like, that's just inspiring. That's just, to me, it shows that great material is getting made, great projects are getting done. And I'm inspired by the business growing in that sense. Sure, who would not want to represent some of the biggest A-list directors and A-list writers? And thankfully, I have the the luxury of having that opportunity with a lot of my clients. But sure, who wouldn't want, you always want to represent some of the ones you don't have. But having said that, I know it's, there's
what do you sit down and watch when you're having a bad COVID day and the kids are driving you insane?
Listen, I'm absolutely moved right now, inspired by the Queen's Gambit. I think that show is phenomenal. I think it's absolutely phenomenal. And I'm like one of those guys that I hate to be like with the masses. I like to find I like to find something and say, hey guys, did you see this?
Hey everybody,
like no one's also watching it. I'm watching it. But this is one that everybody's watching, so I feel like I'm just joining the masses. But I'm inspired by that show. I think the show is absolutely exquisite. I think Scott Frank is there's no really words to put in how unbelievably talented of a storyteller he is, and I think she's a marvelous actress. And the show works on so many levels, right? I've again, I'm going to join the masses. I've loved The Mandalorian. As like just popcorn as it may be, I've loved it. It's escapism for me. It's complete escapism. And I'm not even the biggest Star Wars fan. I might be shot down and like hung out to dry out by saying that, but like I'm not. But I thought that show was just inspiring, and it's just complete popcorn.
It's bringing new people to that brand and that story. I mean, I have two Baby Yodas sitting right over here. And so like I've been all in on the Star Wars thing forever, but a lot of friends of mine who aren't really like big Star Wars feel like, The Mandalorian is pretty cool. And I think because it's such a like complete story, every episode is a complete story.
Completely. And what I love about it is when you go and you watch the behind the scenes of the directors who shot that.
Oh yeah.
Like Taika and John and all of these great filmmakers, Rick and it's amazing, and it's really inspiring to see that. And so I love that show. It's been great. Schitt's Creek, I'm a big fan of. I mentioned all the massive shows. I wish I could say, I found something that no one knows about.
What about Ted Lasso?
Ted Lasso is on the list to watch. I have not watched it. Everybody speaks very highly of that. Yes, I must watch it.
I think that's the most positive show to come out in years, and I think people need it.
I May Destroy You is a great show.
Oh yes, absolutely.
That's a terrific show. I think she's a phenomenal piece of talent. So I think for me, there's a great example. Like someone that creates like that, someone that is a writer, director, producer, actor, someone who's an all-encompassing kind of creator, a multi-hyphenate. That to me is inspiring. I love multi-hyphenates. I love people who can expand from just being one area to other things. So long-winded way of answering the first part of your question, who would I want to represent? Anybody that can do that kind of work is what I love. Anybody who can do a multi-hyphenate artist is what I love.
Nice. If you are trying to pick an agent, if you're, let's say you're lucky enough to maybe have interest from a variety of agents, what do you think is critical in terms of vetting that agent for the writer? What should the writer think about, and maybe questions that they should ask someone and if they're in that position?
I mean, the most important thing is, do they believe, right? Do they believe in you as a storyteller? Do they believe in you as somebody who has a long-term career future? So many, I think, writers, so many new talent get caught up in the fact that somebody responds to one piece of material from them. It's like, well, great, they're my agent for this one piece of material, but do they ask you the question, what else do you have? Do they ask you the question, what do you want to work on next? So they ask you who you want to be in this career as an artist. And I think that's such an important aspect of being a storyteller in this business is having a real career trajectory in your mind of where you want to be, and knowing that and making sure the person that's going to represent you is on the same plane with you, is on the same kind of thinking. Clearly, you know, when someone comes in and I'm, you know, there's been scripts I've read where I was like, this thing, one script is amazing. I'm like, I'm dying to represent this one script, but it's always followed up, always for me at least, followed up with, what else do you have? What else have you written? What else are you working on? Who do you want to be? What do you want to be? And where do you want to go in your career? You know, that's really important. I think anybody that meets with representation doesn't really ask those kind of questions should be weary of that person. In my mind, that's one man's opinion. Listen, it's hard enough. I know, Deep, trying to get representation like we talked about. So the fact that someone wants to represent your one piece of material is exciting, and go for it. God willing. But if it's about a long-term career and a future, you know, what else are they going to, how do they see your career? You know, where do they see it going? Who do they see you as? Those are important questions to me.
When agents come into a meeting like that, where you're interested in representing someone, do you have an idea in your mind already of like how you want to shape their career? Like, do you have a strategy sort of based on what you've read and what you've talked to about with that person? Or do you just wait till you have that meeting and then, you know, you just figure it out after?
Good question. You can, to me, and I've always been someone, so I'm a film school kid, right? So I went to film school. I think I'm a struggling artist inside of me who takes my struggling art and then presents it in an agent mentality, right? So when I sit down with fellow, I want to say, aspiring artists, I always, to me, try to see where their career can go in my mind based on what they've written, what they've done, and kind of see their point of view, kind of take their point of view again of where they think they want to get their career and how I can help them get there, right? So there's always a strategy in my mind going into everything. There's ideas, there's opportunities that I think they may have for them. There's always something that I'm already thinking, I like to say 10 steps ahead of where they could be. Having said that, you know, when someone says having said that, by the way, something's good's going to
I know, it's never a good thing.
Yeah, having said that, I love that saying. Having said that, there is half the battle is in the room, right? So I've always said, you could be amazing on the page. And listen, being a writer, one of the great things about it is being a writer and introverted. That's okay, because it's you can be a solo practitioner in a job as a writer and just write by yourself and do your thing and, you know, whatever. But half the job sometimes is getting on Zooms these days, pitching, being presentable, you know, telling a story, being a storyteller at its core. And so when that person walks in the room and I've already kind of have an idea of where I see their career going, it may absolutely shift based on meeting them, based on understanding who they are. And I ask, so, you know, the first question I always ask somebody is, tell me who you are. Tell me about yourself. Tell me about what makes you tick, kind of thing. Because to me, that gives me an idea of what their makeup is, what their soul is, what inspires them. And it kind of tells me how to help guide them kind of certain areas of their career and a roadmap for them in this business. So I get very detailed with my clients. I love to know all about their life. Because for me, it helps, again, it helps give me knowledge about where their career should be headed.
Right.
Is that a long-winded way of answering the question?
I mean, you could keep going. I think we could.
No, I'm sorry. I think
you're good. So when someone is meeting with an agent, prospective agent, like, should they ask like how many clients that agent has? Like how many clients do you have that are like me, sort of checking the same boxes? Is that something that you should ask coming
Sure.
in,
I
or?
mean, I don't think, I mean, to me, no question is off. No
Mm,
question is no questions off the table when you meet with somebody
okay.
when it's about your career, right? It's like
Hmm.
if you feel it's important to know if they have 27 Adeeps like you know what I mean, on their
Hmm.
roster already, that's okay. Ask them. If you feel it's
Mm,
important to say, you know, why me? Why? What is it about my career you think you could do? And or
mm,
you know, or have you ever worked with someone like myself before? Or you know,
mm,
how many
mhm.
clients do you have in total? Okay, you hope when you're meeting with somebody, all of that, everything else is not even on the table. It's all about you and the focus of you at that point,
Uh-huh.
right?
Yeah.
Clearly, again, that's a little Pollyanna. You're thinking, I mean, when is it when you walk into a room? It's like only you're the only person they focus on, and that's it. And there's no one else on the
Right.
roster. But I try to give every client, new or been with me for 20 some odd years, the same amount of respect, time, and attention I would give, you know, anybody. So
Mm, mhm.
that's my MO, and that's how I
Right.
work and I do my business. Um, it may not be for every agent, but that's just how I've
Mhm.
been trained and raised, you know.
Mhm.
Again, my focus and training has always been about, you know, the craft of writing is so hard enough, and to be able to get to a point where you're sitting in front of one of us, the road has been so tough to get there.
Yeah.
Like, just respect the process of that person getting there,
Yeah.
and give that person all the attention and time and access they need and deserve. If you truly believe in this person, give them that access and time and attention and a passion.
Yeah.
And you know, I won't take on somebody if I don't have that passion
Mhm.
and time for them. It's not
Yeah.
fair, and it's not how I was trained and raised in this business.
Mhm. Yeah. It's, I mean, when a writer gets to that point, it's like there's just a trail of like, maxed out credit cards and divorces and all this,
Of
all
course,
these things that we
horrible.
sort of
Yeah,
sacrifice for this
of
crazy
course.
gig.
The
And
sac. I mean, the sacrifice of a writer. I mean, it's such a no one appreciates how difficult it is, right? No one
Mhm.
appreciates the story. And listen, it may come easy to how many people are on here, whatever, hundreds of people on here. It may come easy to 5% of you, 10% maybe, right? And that's amazing. That's wonderful. And congratulations. The rest, it doesn't. It is a treacherous, you know, insane, crazy, difficult path.
Yeah.
And I again am so humbled by everybody that takes that path and is able to allow me to represent them and
Mhm.
bring them kind of hopefully the success they deserve, you know?
Mhm.
So I guess what I'm saying is, when you walk in that room, you deserve the respect for
Mm.
getting to that place. You know,
Mhm.
I don't know if I
Um,
went off a complete tangent there, but
no, I think that's really important, and it sort of like speaks to my next question, in that, you're going into that room, you're not just pitching, you're not pitching your work, you're pitching yourself, right?
sure,
And do you find that people sort of struggle with pitching themselves in that moment when they
of
get to
course,
you, or yeah?
of course. I mean, it's hard. I mean, again, it's the same way of like to me, pitching yourself is the same way when I say to a client, okay, we're gonna take out a pitch with you. We're gonna put together a pitch. We're gonna go out and put this thing together as a pitch, and you're gonna go to different rooms. You're gonna tell them a story, right? To me,
Mm-hmm.
it's the same way of you walking into a room and I say, tell me about yourself. It's just tell me a story. Like tell me who you
Mm-hmm.
are,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
That's not always easy to do because it can be nerve wracking. It could be what do you say about myself? What does this person want to hear about me? Why are they
Right.
asking me that question? There's
Right.
always like
Yeah.
insecurity, right? Clearly, I understand.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's just being who you are, being true to who you are. And I think
Mm-hmm.
so many writers get caught up in trying to be something they're not when they
Yep.
just should be who they are, you know? And
Yeah.
that's why I love and respect and appreciate about, you know, my clients and ones I represent is that, you know, I would say why we work so well together is they just who they are, and I love them for that.
Mm-hmm. Like they know their voice, they know what connects with
Correct.
them
They
on
don't
an
try to be,
emotional level.
correct. They don't try to be anything they're not, you know?
Right.
They
Yeah.
write from the place of what they believe and their passion and the
Mhm.
stories they want to tell. And to me, that's so important, you know? People
Yeah.
always say, you know, what should I, you know, well, I don't know if one of these questions is going to be a question of yours, but like, you know,
Oh yeah.
should I write to the business? Should I write to the trend? Should I write to the business? I always say it's like, just write to what you're passionate about. Write what inspires you, you know, write what speaks to you. Those are the best kind of stories to tell. You know, I have always found myself gravitating towards people who just write things that speak to them and who they are, inspires them. When someone tries to write to trends and someone tries to write to what's happening in business today, it just doesn't feel authentic. And the word authentic is so important in this business. Do you feel authentic? Do you feel like someone that is telling a story that feels tried, that feels true to who you are?
Right. And, you know, speaking to that, like the nitty gritty of, you know, what everybody wants to know is like, how do people get in front of someone like you? And how many samples should they have? Should they be in the same genre? Like, what's the package that's going to get your attention? And then, you know, how do you need to be ready in terms of your portfolio?
Sure. Listen, you know, there's no real magic. There's no real, I like to say, special sauce that goes into what you need to get in front of myself, right? Again, I am honored when I am able to work with anybody whose voice I respond to, correct? So I've always said, great material finds a way, great writers write. So to your part about what a writer needs to do, just write. Like, I know that sounds so ridiculously simple, but how many writers do you know that say, I finished one script, I'm done. There we go. Now I'm a writer. It's like, but if this is your, sorry, you're going to say.
Yeah, plenty.
Yeah, it's just like, but if this is your craft, if this is what you believe in, if this is what you want to call a career, you're never done. You know, I'm never done learning how to be a better agent. I'm never done honing my craft of being better at my job. Right. Every day I learn from anybody from an intern to the mailroom to an associate to my fellow partners. Right. I'm always learning. I have to have that I have to have that mindset. I can always learn.
Like a good idea could come from anywhere.
Correct, but I can always
right?
I can always hone my craft. I can always be better. I've done this for 20. God, I'm going to age myself. 20 some odd years, right? And here I am, still to this day, loving every moment I get to still learn and appreciate the fact that I still get advice that kind of crafts me into being better at my job. So, to a writer, should you have 15 scripts that speak to horror or action, or whatever? Just write what you're passionate about. If you love the idea of writing great horror, write horror. If you love the idea of writing great comedy, write comedy. Should you write a great Western and a great romance? I mean, sure, there's always going to be inside rules to all this stuff, like not rules, things that might help
like
you. Conventions, correct. There's always the idea of like, should I be branded as a certain writer? Should I not?
Right.
I don't think in this day and age you have to worry about that. Just worry about writing what inspires you at the end of the day.
Okay.
If it inspires you and it's great and it's something that speaks to a voice that, speaking only for myself, that I haven't read or I love and inspires me, then it's going to find its way and I'm going to be a person that's all over that kind of material, you know? Okay. So,
and let's say it's not you, let's say it's a colleague, let's say it's a friend who's also an agent.
Sure.
Do you hear like, hey, you know, I would sign that person, but they don't have 2 half-hour comedy samples, or they don't have, like, does that even enter the conversation? It's just about voice and it's just about
I think
the point of view.
Yeah, I think there's going to be, like you said, there's sometimes there's certain conventions that you need, right? It's like, hey, I want to be a feature writer, but all I have is this short story. I've never written a feature in my life. You may want to sit down and let's work on how do you write a feature. That short story may be amazing, may speak to who you are, but you may want to be, you may want to kind of figure out a way to now take what you've done in the short story space and now, translate it into writing a movie,
Right,
or a
right,
feature length script.
right.
But I'll tell you, listen, this is sort of going off a little bit of a tangent, but even that, it's like, recently we sold something. I was involved with something that sold to Netflix for lots of money, life-changing money. I mean, life-changing money for many, many years for somebody, right?
Right, like intergenerational wealth kind of money.
Yeah, intergenerational wealth, kind of like, Netflix can afford to pay intergenerational wealth kind of money,
Yeah,
So, and it was a short story that the brother of one of my clients wrote, and it was magical. It was fantastic. It was a short story that he wrote, that he happened to put on Reddit, and the short story became a huge sensation on Reddit. And we took the short story, we teamed him up with his brother, who's a phenomenal writer and successful.
Well, that was easy.
Yeah. And we sold it in a, again, life-changing way to
Jesus.
Netflix, in that capacity. Now the brother has really now we have book deals, and we have all sorts of crazy things to these guys,
right.
Like the amount of opportunities for them now has been life-changing. But for the brother who wrote the short story, like he doesn't fancy himself a feature writer. Will he fancy himself now a author of novels? Maybe he wants to do that. But he's afforded himself this opportunity by writing something that's really great, that's afforded him the opportunity to now expand into other areas. So
sure.
A long-winded way of saying, if you can afford yourself the opportunity by writing something that speaks to something that then affords you to expand yourself, that's a bonus,
Okay.
So
and so let's see. Let's talk about the one subject that all the writers want to talk about, which is querying. And do query letters work for someone like you? Do you think they still work? What makes for a good query letter? Like maybe a little query 101 with David Boxerbaum. What's your take on that?
I this is an interesting subject, Adib. I haven't looked at a query letter in quite some time, so it's hard, and again, is it tough again to get noticed by agents a certain caliber or certain agencies like a Verve or CA or William Morris? Yeah, it's hard, So so querying may be one avenue to go down to get our attention. I personally, just because of certain restrictions and rules and just, legality issues, I don't look at those. I don't pay attention, and they usually don't end up in front of me.
Sure.
So I'm not the best person to give advice on what makes a good query letter, because I don't, that doesn't, to me,
sure,
the day and age of that to me I've never been a person that's really responded to a query letter. So I'm sure I have in the past in my, again, my 60 years of doing this, but
since the 20s.
Yeah, since the early roaring 20s. But I haven't in a long time looked at one. To me, listen, if you're trying to break in final drafts contest, Austin Writers Conference, Blacklist, there's Sundance Lab, all these different areas. There's, UCLA screenwriting competitions, all these different areas where I think we do take notice if it's not going to be from like another client who tells us, or a referral from a lawyer or a manager, or whatever it may be. If it's not that route and it's the beginning route of trying to break in, contest, again, Blacklist, all these certain kind of websites, whatever, those to me are really legitimate. There's some that are not, and I warn you to be very careful of the ones that aren't legitimate, because I hate to see writers get taken advantage of. I hate to see writers spend money for coverage on things when it's clearly from people who don't deserve to be giving that coverage.
That's right.
Or people who are clearly taking advantage of these writers who don't know somebody in the business, who are then turning to these websites and spending thousands of dollars to get their stuff read. That bothers me. It's always been something that's really been a thorn in my side about this business. Kind of parasites take advantage of the business.
Yeah, I mean, it's like exploiting writers is it's kind of evil to me, those people who do that.
Correct.
And there's a special place in hell for them.
It's not fair. To me, this is, like I'm honored to I'm humbled and honored to give this kind of like advice and talk and be able to like discuss this stuff. It's like people who then charge you thousands of dollars and whatever. And I get it. There's only certain avenues to go down sometimes to be able to do this.
Mhm.
To me, it's just it's yucky. It's just gross, you know?
Like if you're like, you don't live in Los Angeles, let's say we're
Sure, I
talking
understand.
pre-COVID times, right? If you don't live
Yeah,
in
yeah.
Los Angeles, you don't know anybody, like you're like the way, a way in is to go the contest route.
The ones that are legitimate, absolutely. And I
Yeah.
love, by the way, I love the Blacklist. I think the Blacklist
Mhm.
website is great. I'm a huge fan of Franklin Leonard, and this is not a
Mhm.
it's not
Oh,
a
yeah.
promotion for him to reap the benefits. This is more about, I legitimately think that's a wonderful kind of launch pad for a lot of writers and storytellers to be found.
Mhm. Yeah. This is a little bit of a tangent, but like if you're a
Sure.
writer director, how do you position yourself when you're talking to an agent, and like what do you need to have sort of in the can to make that kind of career happen?
I mean, listen, I love storytelling. I love filmmakers. I love people who are all around, who want to spread their wings and be more than just a writer and more a writer
Mhm.
director. Um, to me, you don't necessarily have to have something in the can or have shot
Mm.
something or made something. You have to just believe in yourself and believe that this is the trajectory I want to be in my career, and this is where I want to be, and this is where I want to go. I mean, sure, does it help that if you're saying I'm a filmmaker and I've made this film over here that's won all these awards, or it's generating all this buzz and critical acclaim? Sure, that always
Mhm.
helps, of course.
Mhm.
But if you're a new writer and you aspire to be a true filmmaker, there's no rules about having to have something shot already.
Mm.
Would it help to, again, we go back to what we talked about before, hone your craft and go out and shoot a short film or shoot something that speaks to the masses, kind of speaks to who you are as a visionary? Yeah, absolutely. But we're not all afforded that opportunity. We're not all afforded those kind of finances to do that. So most importantly, write something you believe in, write something that you're excited about. And if it affords the opportunity to be the filmmaker on it, which again, I'm speaking in a Pollyanna world where it's like,
Right.
yes, you can direct this. Absolutely. That is a very, very difficult task to be a first time
Right.
director on something you
Right.
write. But if you're afforded the opportunity, it's fantastic. We have turned plenty of, and Verve especially, turned plenty of first time writers into directors. And we pride ourselves, especially female filmmakers, we pride ourselves on female voices, diversity voices, and really kind of helping the voices that aren't heard sometimes become heard,
Yeah.
especially seen.
Yeah.
That's a huge
That's
huge focus for myself these days.
I see. Yeah. How do folks, because like it's blowing up in the Q&A, and I know like we had questions asked before, but like how do people get around the we don't accept unsolicited material? How do people get around that, get through that, get over that?
I mean, gosh, I in this business, Adib, there is no rules, right? Rules are made to
Right.
be broken, right?
Yeah.
You find ways. If you're passionate about your craft and you believe in yourself, you find a way. You find a way to get to people. You duck and weave, you bob and you move, and I'm giving you boxing terms now because I like the box.
Yeah, I'm into it. Me too.
Here you go. And you just maneuver and you find a way.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't tell you what, again, the secret sauce is or the magical way. I can only tell you that people have been told no many, many, many times and have found a way to get their material in front of us. So where there's a will, there's a way. There's always an opportunity. And especially with social media these days and how the access to people is so much easier than it was when, I mean, I'm way older than you are, but like when I was coming up in this business, there was no social media. It was not like you couldn't hunt someone down and like talk to them. And granted, even that sometimes is hard these days because not everybody responds. But like, now you have this great access to social media. You can talk to anybody, right? And it's exciting. So I tell everybody, just keep at it. Don't give up. The minute you give up, the person behind you is going to become the one that's going to get noticed. So stay the course.
And in the Zoom COVID world, like beyond social media, how in the world do you sort of maneuver to find people who know Verve, like, because before you could like go to a bar and you might run into somebody, or you go to
I
a
know, right?
mixer, or you
Right?
go to a panel. Like this panel would be live and people come up and talk to us. What's a strategy there? Is it really like utilize social media and your personal network
Yeah,
and just
honestly, I
kind of,
mean, there's no reason why virtual writer chats and coffees and virtual writer meetups shouldn't be happening still. However that takes place in the world of Zoom, I would love to understand how that works, but I assume it's still happening. But yes, the idea of the in-person, I guess, coffees and meetups and writers kind of retreats and writers focus groups, are probably not as plentiful as they were back in the pre-pandemic. But I mean, again, social media affords you this opportunity. It really does, right?
It does.
And like,
It's crazy.
this is the greatest thing ever for a writer, right? Because not a lot of writers like to leave their house. Like they want to sit in their house and write, right?
Yeah,
it's fucking amazing. You get to like sit on a Zoom and like chat with fellow writers and like talk story and talk like ideas and bounce things off each other and then email each other scripts to read. That's awesome. That's amazing. You get to Zoom with people. It's like, I'm like jealous, that's like, you can now really, really hone your craft from just sitting in your house, which you probably all appreciate,
Yeah.
I say that half jokingly. I know a lot of writers like to get out and mingle and socialize, but there's
some
something
of us are social.
social, yeah. But there's something really exciting about the fact that you get to actually sit like in your own house now and get to meet a bunch of people and like and be a part of that. You can still, even in this crazy time, this crazy world and this pandemic and all the misery that surrounds it, you still get to work and appreciate and enjoy the art of storytelling with fellow writers if you seek it out and you're passionate about it. I truly believe it's there.
We're the only artists who can really do our gig.
Oh my God, correct.
Right now,
Correct.
So it's kind of great, but
correct. Which brings us back to why I think, we invested as Verve, we were always writers first, right? So because of that, we were so ahead of the curve. And when this, this disastrous pandemic and everything came to fruition, like we were ahead of the curve, and we've had such amazing voices and amazing artists at this agency that we were very blessed to be able to continue to be a company that saw success within our within our ranks, and within our artists, and it allowed us and afforded us to, which we were very proud of, to keep all our staff, and to keep everybody a part of the agency. And that was a really big part of it. If it meant, if it meant taking, certain kind of deductions from the top down to keep the rest of everybody else there, we did that because it was very important for us to keep everybody, safe,
team together,
healthy, and in the company. Where it's a very family kind of mentality. As much as we are a bigger agency, and have many employees, we still treat it like a real family mentality. The culture there is about family.
Yeah. I have a random ass question that I really like that someone asked us. What's your favorite snack?
Favorite snack?
Yeah.
I love the random questions.
Yeah, me too.
Are we talking like I shouldn't be eating a snack, or?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Just like anything you want.
Anything I want.
It's your cheat day.
Okay, it's my cheat day. Then I'm rolling M&Ms for sure.
Nice.
Peanut or dark chocolate M&Ms. It's over. Anything chocolate. Anybody that knows me, I'm a chocolate like connoisseur. I just love chocolate, dark chocolate especially. But I'm rolling in, and I'm not coming out. I'm going chocolate all the way if I have the opportunity. So.
Nice. Yeah, I'm a Reese's peanut butter cup, M&M Snickers guy. That's the holy trinity for me. And it's like, if I could smash them all into one, piece of candy, I would. Let
me tell you, Halloween was awesome because there was no trick or treating, right? So people are like, why are you still going out and buying bags of candy? I'm like, whoa. Like, we still need to have the candy in the house in case I want to go. I want to go trick or treating in my own house, you know?
That's right. That's what we did in our house. Actually, we had the kids like go door to door, and I would like put on different costumes and
Of course.
try to make it not suck.
Now, if we're going non-cheat day,
Non-cheat day, yeah, like
non-cheat day, I like
you gotta put the suit on, and you
yeah,
know,
you know, I gotta keep. You can't roll out of bed and look like this, Adip. You got to work at it, right?
It takes a village.
That's a joke, guys. It's a joke. It takes a village to build this. But you have to. I love. I'm a grapes guy. I love the little cutie like oranges.
Oh yeah,
those crush those. Yeah, I mean, I try to keep it healthy on the tip most of the time, but for sure, I'm rolling out to the dark side of chocolate when I can.
Nice. So this is the worst segue in history, but like we're talking about chocolate. I promise you, it's the worst. We're talking about dark chocolate, light chocolate, all kinds of chocolate, and like let's talk about representation in the business. Let's talk about
Jesus Christ,
melanin enhanced people.
And like, you're a comedy writer, Deep. What's going on there? I like that. You know what I mean? Is this
dark chocolate?
It's amazing. I love how you made that connection there.
What is going on with representation at the agency level in terms of like people of color, people with disabilities, LGBTQ, people who are older, let's say than 40 or 50, like all the different categories? How do you see that changing right now, and like how are the opportunities?
Rightfully so, way overdue. It is. I see a strong push for diversity, a strong push for LGBTQ voices, a strong absolute push for any diversity, people of color, POC, like I said, LGBTQ. All of that is on the forefront of everybody's mind, especially in our minds right now, and long overdue. I am a massive supporter of it. I am honored to represent anybody, any voice in particular, no matter what, but especially great voices that of diversity and LGBTQ. And it's been a wonderful time to see that come now to the forefront. So the business has embraced, finally. I think there's still a lot to be done, and there's still a lot of walls to break down. But I think that finally the business, rightfully so, is justified giving more of these voices a chance to be heard. It is absolutely overdue.
Well, and that's part of my next question is, how do you explain, and you don't have to speak for like the entire agenting business and Hollywood in general, but like, how do you explain that there's so many talented people who check those boxes, who aren't working, they're struggling to get any attention, even though their samples are amazing and they know people and like, but they can't break through that next level. Like, what are they supposed to do? Like, I know I've been in that position. I had to get into, I did AFI, then ABC, and then got to the Goldbergs. And that's
you mean diversity? Diversity
like
programs?
diverse people. No, but like not even the diversity programs. Like beyond that, like what are people to do? Because that's an obvious do a fellowship and then you can potentially get work. What do we tell the people who are kind of stuck and they can't break through? It's a tough question.
It's tough. I mean, listen, I wish I had the magic answer for it. I think you hope, clearly, Adip, you hope that people aren't being judged by the color of their skin or by their, sexual orientation or any of that, right? You believe that they're being judged purely on what's on the page. I cannot say for 100% certainty that's the case all times. I'm not saying, I'm not putting myself or any of us into this. Just saying in general in the marketplace, right? I can say that for us, it is so important for us personally to embrace and we celebrate, again, female, person of color, diversity, again, and LGBTQ is such a huge mandate and a celebration for us. How do you how do you get through? Is the writing there? Is the writing
Yeah,
of
let's
quality
say,
that deserves to be right there? And then I'm not
yeah, no,
not putting you in that.
yeah,
Not
yeah,
talking
yeah,
about
no.
you. You know what I mean?
No, I
In
mean, it could be
you
me
know?
too. My writing could suck. Who knows? But
No.
the
I mean, your writing's pretty bad, but it's not suck. You know
it's
what I mean? No, I'm just kidding.
right. It's like,
Terrible.
it's great for
Not bad
toilet
joke.
paper. Yeah, but I mean, like, let's say it's someone who has been working at their craft. They have great samples. Legitimately, when they go in the room, they crush it. But I know so many people like that, and it's taken
Sure.
them a really long time to get through.
And you think
And it's
because of their color of their skin, or you think because of their orientation?
I don't necessarily think that in every case that it's that. I think it's a lack of access, which is sort of part of that problem where it's like people hire people who look like them, right? And it's like if you don't have any friends who are of another race, like then potentially you may not have anyone, that circle is sort of close to you. So it's just like it's really just talking about systemic issues in society and how it relates to this business and how the pipeline gets narrowed and then we sort of people fall away.
Totally. I totally understand what you're saying. All I can tell you is what we have seen the shift in the business recently, Adeep, is I think blue skies ahead for everything you're talking about, right? I've seen a complete shift in the opposite of what you're discussing, which is I've seen more doors open recently. I've seen more opportunities for people, again, people of color and diversity again, and sexual or LGBTQ than I have in the years before. So I've only seen a positive change. Is there systematic issues that you're still seeing in the business? I'm assuming there is.
Yeah.
I hopefully am not seeing that, and I don't think I have, or come across it or witnessed it recently. But we pride ourselves on being very, very, very big advocates of everything you're talking about and the voices and trying to break those walls down. So I hear what you're saying. I guess I don't have the magic answer because
sure, I mean,
who does? I've seen it. Well, no, because I've seen a blue sky shift recently. I've seen an absolute shift. If you would ask me this years ago, I'd have said, "Ooh, yeah, we're not seeing enough, right? How do we get through this?" I have seen a complete shift now where people are saying, we need somebody, a female of color we need a female, African American female on this show. We need somebody of Indian descent on this show. We need someone of Asian American on this show. It's like I'm seeing much more of a opportunity than I had seen in the past. And again, rightfully so. It took way too long for this to happen. It's about time, So I think the shift is real, and I think it's here to hopefully finally be here for the course of the next stage of this business.
Right. Yeah.
That's my 2 cents.
I know. It's like my hot seat question was like I never really like my agent's Indian, so like he and I can sort of speak in the shorthand of like what happens in the business. But let's see, what's my next one? Let's see. Something about specs, like our spec scripts selling these days. Is there a cooling effect because of COVID? What do you guys see?
So yeah, I can only speak for ourselves.
Yeah.
Our success rate has been phenomenal over the last 6 months when it comes to specs. 100%. There's been an effect of the pandemic on the need and the kind of the studio's appetite for new material, original piece of material. But we have flourished, and I think it's just because we've been very smart about the material we take out, and we've been very strategic and kind of pinpointed. And I have to say again, God, I feel like everything I say is blue skies. I'm a blue skies. I try to be very positive in my approach, though. I mean, that's who I am. That this has been a very successful last few months for us in the spec game. Was there opportunities, more before pandemic? Maybe, but we also had a lot of success then too. We've always had a lot of success
Right.
in the selling of original material, IP, pitches, and everything. It's something we pride ourselves on. I personally have been someone that has had some good success in the spec game,
Right.
we've had a good few showings, like to say, over the last few months.
Yeah. I mean, I've definitely seen your name attached to several things lately. But you've always been doing that. Like, you've been doing it.
Yeah, thank you. And for me, it's just been believing in voices, right? Believing in ideas, and if you're passionate, believe in something, you're going to put your full weight behind it, and you're not going to take no for an answer. So for me,
Mhm.
I've always found a way, and I've always tried to understand the business, understand the studios and the executives' kind of appetite for what they're looking for, their mindset of what they need, and kind of try to deliver material from the client that I feel best suits what they need for their studio. So we've had a great run for sure, and I feel confident we'll continue to have that great run based on the storytellers we represent, storytellers I represent,
Right.
and the kind of material that's coming in today, from our clients.
It's this is a question that's popping up, and I've sort of danced around it, but like, how do you know that your writing is ready it's at the level that someone like you would represent that writer?
How do you know?
How do you know your own work is ready?
I mean, I think easy answer to that is, do you believe it's ready? Do you believe that that this is the best piece of material that you can put forward to someone, and that you're ready to show it to someone like myself to gain representation? Like, if you believe in it and you're passionate about it, it's ready. I mean, there's nobody that you can go through 1,000 different opinions and views and people's ideas and advice, and everybody can give you a different one each time, saying, no, it's not ready, it is ready, this is what you should change, not change. At the end of the day, do you believe it's there, it's ready, you've given everything you can to that piece of material, and you have fixed, you have changed, you have added, you have done anything you can to do, and it's ready to be put in front of, let's say, for example, my eyes, So I don't think there's ever really a clear-cut answer to.
Right.
And by the way, let me add to that.
Yeah.
Is anything ever really ready? Is also a term that you can also argue, right?
Yeah. I don't believe there's a moment where a piece of art is done. I think it can always be better. I mean, you can overcorrect, but
correct. You can overcorrect. You can over fine tune. You can overwrite, rewrite everything.
Yeah.
But in the end, you have to sometimes let the baby go, right?
Yeah. You have to be like,
let the child leave the house. You know what I mean? Have trust, have faith.
Yeah.
If you believe that it is there, let the child take the car out for a spin. So that's a weird analogy.
That's a weird one. But it's COVID.
But
what are you gonna do? Who are you gonna hit? There's like no one else.
I might adopt that someday and just use it.
Yeah.
You never know.
What are some? I mean, I can just speak to the writing community really briefly. Like, join LATV writers, join other writing groups online, start your own writing group over Zoom. Like, I'm in 2 groups that I started. Do an accountability group where you write over Zoom with like 2-3 other friends. Like, I do a lot of that. There's so many ways to sharpen your writing and get opinions from good writers. It's just, you have to take the initiative, right, to want to be better and look at your writing in an honest way. I think a lot of us don't. I think we hit a point where, like, we think we're good, but we really know that we're not, and we have to go that one next step.
Absolutely agree with you.
And to that end, what are some, and you may not see this at your level, so I apologize, but what are some common mistakes that you see, like maybe regarding etiquette for writers, or craft issues, or even pitching type of stuff? Is there anything that you see it's like people should
Well, I mean,
address
listen,
or
I
avoid?
mean, issues I see is it goes back to a lot of the things I said before, which is um, writers decide that they've written one great piece of material and that's it, and there it is. That's their
Yeah.
mecca, and that's going to be it for them. And to me,
Mhm.
again, if you are a storyteller, if you're a craftsman, if you want to be if you want this to be a craft, you continue to write. You always
Mhm.
hone your craft. Again, like I said, I'm always honing how to be a better agent, right?
Mhm.
I think that so many writers don't want to immerse themselves in this business, but they should. If that makes any sense. They should
Yeah,
immerse
yeah.
themselves in the information flow. They
The
should immerse
business
themselves
intelligence.
in the intelligence of what this
Yeah,
business is and
yeah.
understanding. That makes you so much more craftier when it comes to the understanding of how this process works and how agents and managers and lawyers and the selling aspects and all that stuff works. I think that so many people, you know, don't get so yeah, I mean, I see this. So get so married to what they've written. It goes back to what you and I talked about briefly before, which is they're so against change. They're so against
Mm,
notes. They're so against
yeah,
taking someone
yeah.
else's advice at my level, let's say, right?
Right,
It's I
right.
understand. I understand something like that. Maybe I'm not may not be in the same what you feel writing capacity level that you are, but even to get to my level, and I'm not saying by any means that I'm an expert. I am just telling you based on my years of experience and what I've done this for a long time.
Yeah.
I hope to think that my notes and my thoughts and my advice tend to be pretty good and tend to be pretty spot on. Not always, but tend to be spot on.
Mhm.
And some people are reluctant to take it, and that's okay. You don't have to take it.
Right,
That's what it's called.
right.
That's why it's called advice and opportunity and ideas and notes. You know, you do what you
Yeah.
want to do. But I think that's a hindrance sometimes in someone's
Mhm.
career when they're too married to what they've done and not looking to change. Um,
Is the
I,
kiss of death like being defensive when you're getting notes from somebody? Does that become like an instant, like, ugh, like they're not ready, or it's a turn off, or
Yeah,
um,
I think it's definitely sort of a turn off song where it's just disappointing, right? Because when someone writes a
okay.
great move, a great script, and you're like, God, it's almost there.
Uh-huh.
If you just would do these couple things. And by the way, I am not always right by any means, but I have given advice in the past. Someone doesn't want to take it, and then you see when it goes out to the marketplace, the exact note you get back from everybody who says no to it is
Right.
that same note you gave, you know? And it's
Yeah,
just,
that's
you
brutal.
get that, sometimes you get that one up in a spec game. And I want to, for everybody who's listening, I always say, and it varies, but you get that one opportunity when the eyeballs all become on your script, when everybody's going to read
Yeah,
it, right? And
yeah.
you do want the best possible script, you know, best possible piece of material going out to the marketplace. And if you
Hmm.
can make it the best and you can take the notes that, you know, that someone gives you that's going to only enhance your script, why not? You know?
Yeah,
And again,
yeah.
um, I don't know if again we're always right, but at
Hmm.
least be open to
Yeah,
listening, at least be open to opening the kind of lifting up the hood and looking in and seeing
right,
if those notes make sense, right?
right.
Again,
Is
by
there's
no
a note
means
behind the note that's saying
correct,
like, oh,
correct,
maybe like
correct.
this issue that's in the third act is actually happening in
Correct.
the
And
first
by
act.
the way, I've given a note before to a client and they said, well, let me tell you why I did this. And have you thought about this,
Uh,
this, this? And it's like,
uh-huh.
I haven't thought about
All
that.
right.
It's a chess
Yeah.
game sometimes.
Right.
Going
Exactly.
back to Queen's Gambit, it's a
King's
chess game.
Gambit.
It's
Yeah.
like, I didn't see that move. Oh, I missed that move, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So now I see why you chose to do that. And I love
Hmm.
that. I love that
Hmm.
spirited conversation with the client. And lastly, I
Hmm.
think my note would be stay humble, stay
Hmm.
appreciative of what you are. If you're able to get this success and get to a place where you're working a working writer in this business, never forget where you came from. Appreciate how long it took and sometimes how hard it is to get to a place, and how many writers, storytellers, directors, you name it, would be honored and kill and love to be in the place that you're in, you know?
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
I think some people forget that, and they
Yeah.
forget the appreciation of what it is. I appreciate every day the opportunity to work and do what I do. And I think so many of us forget that, and
Yeah.
especially storytellers, they get
Yeah.
success and they forget how hard it is to get to that place.
Yeah. What do you couple of three questions, two of which come up all the time. and then one that's sort of random. So I'm going to start the random one because I'm curious. When you're presenting yourself, let's say in social media, in person, in a query letter, where does, this is a weird question, where does self-deprecation hurt you? Like how far is too far when you're like, oh, that person has no confidence at all, especially with comedians who kind of want to,
Sure.
throw away anything that's, laudatory. Like, what's your take on that?
Sure. I mean, I appreciate self-deprecation. I find it quite amusing. But there's a point where there's a point where you surely want to have the confidence level that you believe in yourself, right?
Yeah.
There's a fine line between self-deprecation and feeling like you have absolutely no chance to succeed, and just calling it and throwing the towel in. There's also a fine line between um, confidence and ego, right? So
Mm-hmm.
you got to walk that fine line very closely, right? You
Mm-hmm.
should believe when you are an artist and a writer, storyteller, actor, director, whatever it may be, painter, whatever it may be, believe in yourself 100%. You have to have that sheer confidence that I know I can do this, I know I can achieve it, and there's absolutely no reason I can't have the same success as blank blank blank. But you
Mm-hmm.
got to keep that humble kind of confidence in check, right?
Mm-hmm.
But to your point, there's a kind of a empathy to a self-deprecating kind of process that sometimes people will get, or self-deprecating kind of a conversation people will have, and you're like, oh, okay, I get it. This person is like, oh shucks, I don't know if I'm worthy of this, whatever. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
I'm just
Right.
a, I'm just a 5'4", 5'4" kid from so and so, whatever. Like,
Right.
but by
Right.
the way, I always joke. I'll be like, I'm just like a white pale Jewish kid from like San Francisco. It's like, what do I know about this business? You know what I mean? And it's like, and then but it's like there's a charm factor to that too. There's a charm
Mm-hmm.
factor, but it can't get to a point where it becomes like you are literally like sorry for yourself. Does that make sense? Like
Mm-hmm.
you got to walk
Yes.
that fine line of
Yeah.
confidence.
I think a lot of us have been, I know I've definitely lived at that place, and a lot of other people do, and it's like, you're right, it's like that balance of humility and confidence and sort of keeping it light so it doesn't feel like, oh, this person hates themselves. It's tricky though.
Like,
Okay, two more things,
it's
three
very
more
tricky.
things.
It's
Yeah.
tricky, and again, it's like it's by the way, you can hear me, right? All right.
Yeah, I got you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I froze there for a minute. My
Yeah, you
apologies.
did. Yeah, just for a sec.
Studio City Wi-Fi. But it's also like I'll have fun and be like, but you also have fun and sometimes like you show that fun and confidence too. You're like, oh yeah, I'm also like a 6'1" Jewish good-looking kid who's like rocking the business. It's like yeah, you'll joke and have fun with it as well. You know what I mean? Like I think my clients appreciate it. I'll poke fun at myself and be self-deprecating, but I also do it in a way that's kind of like overconfident, just in a fun way.
Right, in a fake.
It's all about
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm getting a lot of hits in the.
Am I
Oh
freezing?
yeah,
Okay.
you froze just a moment. What was the last part of what you said? I'm so sorry.
Okay. Oh, it's all about how
Yeah,
it's,
just
it's
the last
all
part.
about how you it's all about how you do it. It's just about enjoying and being confident, in yourself,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and have a approach with it.
Mm-hmm. We're getting a lot of questions about sort of revisiting older writers. Let's say over 40. Is the business closed to older writers? Is there a bias that you see or that you hear about? Like, does it matter?
With what I mean,
Okay, like,
I don't define anything as old. I'm pretty old.
right,
But
like that's the thing. Like, I mean, it's like older writers of like, well, I'm just gonna say
there's
like,
here's a great about that to anybody that's listening or watching this or is already throwing the computer out the window because they can't hear me talk anymore. But I say the greatest thing about writing is I don't care how old, what you look like, what you do, a voice, and you can write an amazing piece. That's the game right there, right? There's, you know, have I ever come across anything as of what you're discussing or issue? I mean, I've seen storytell at it. I'm going to turn.
Sure. It's such a good run. Let's see. David is trying to get back on. Let's see.
Am I there? Am I here?
Yeah, now you're good.
Sorry.
Yeah, you're back. Yeah.
Right. Such a terrible internet connection. My apologies. So I'm trying to get the long and short is I have not seen. I believe in great voices. I believe in, you know, if doesn't matter what age you are. I've seen plenty of writers and directors and visionaries, storytellers flourish at an age that's, in theory, I guess some people would seem old or would not seem like young anymore. But like, what is old anymore? No, there's no such thing. To me, it doesn't matter.
It's a mindset, right?
It's a mindset. It's a way. It's a way of thinking, but it's not the way I think, and it shouldn't be any way anybody thinks. You know? Yeah. Just create. That's what it should be.
I mean, is there a truth in when like staffing up a show that can become an issue? Or like, I don't personally see it that much because like writers' rooms tend to be like a lot of people in their 30s and 40s. So I'm not personally seeing it. But do you hear of any of that kind of like, oh, for staffing, like we just need like a younger person or that kind of thing?
I have not seen it. I have personally not seen it, and I'm thankful I haven't. I wouldn't. Yeah. It wouldn't be something that I'd be very excited about to see or hear. I think honestly, that would be really unfortunate, and I hope that this business wouldn't have that kind of perception. And maybe I'm being naive to the fact, maybe, or maybe maybe I'm just trying to look on the brighter side of, if you can create and you're a voice, just don't worry.
Just do it.
Put that aside. Don't worry about that. You know,
I
focus on the craft, not on your age. Again, it's a mindset. You know.
Yeah. I mean, it's just don't give up. Just don't think like you hit a certain age and it's like I've aged out. Like no, that's not doing you any good, right?
No, never. By the way, again, and that's the one thing I'll say till you know, I'm blue in the face. The minute you give up, you've given someone else an opportunity to step in for you, you know? Right. So do not give up. The minute you stop doing it is the minute someone else will take your place in a second, you know? So continue to fight the good fight. If you believe in it and you love it, fight the good fight, believe in yourself. Passion will win, you know? Yeah. And passion and talent will always win out.
So do you, in this COVID, post-COVID, whatever COVID age we're going to be in when people watch this in the future.
In the future.
Right, in the year 2000.
Are we doing a Conan bit now? Are we going?
We should. I got a hat. I got a weird hat around here. Like,
in the year 2000.
Do you have to be in LA to, let's say, be a writer in Hollywood, and especially like as a TV writer, do you have to be in LA now?
Not at all. I mean, especially now. Look at
well, now. I mean, but before, let's say like a year ago.
Yeah, a year ago. No, never. I mean, the world has changed so much even a year ago that the idea that you had to be in LA to be successful. I have plenty of clients who live all around the country and all around the world who are very successful and have found ways to have a career not living in Los Angeles. Does it help? Sure. You know what I mean? Will it be beneficial to be, I think, surrounded by kind of your peers in this business? Yeah, I think there's an argument to be made, and be able to jump in a car, go to a meeting on a second's notice.
Right.
There's all of that stuff, right? But when it comes to the actual idea that you have to live here to be successful, absolutely not. Especially right now in a world of Zooming and the pandemic. Right now, it's like it's every writer's dream that lives around the country and the world. It's like you can have success anywhere, and it's awesome. It's amazing. And I'm so for that reason, I'm very excited. I am not excited about the pandemic, but I'm very
Of course.
excited for the fact that this allows people's voices from around the world to be successful without having to necessarily be in
Be physically.
LA.
And do you see that remaining, like, as we go, let's say?
Absolutely.
You think that's going to just continue?
Absolutely.
Okay.
It was already trending that way already, Adeep, and I think
Really? Okay.
yeah, and I think now more than ever. Listen, I think that if writer rooms ever open up again in television, in-person writer rooms, it's always hard not to be in LA, to be in those writers' rooms, or New York, wherever they usually are. But
Right.
if we're talking about a world where those things don't necessarily come back at a fast and furious pace, and I think the idea that you can be anywhere in the world and be successful Zoom-wise, writer's room or not, is absolutely here to stay.
That's great. That's great news. Except for those of us who moved here, got broke, and were like, "Wow, what?
Oh no,
we had to move here."
Come on, we're in Los Angeles. Amazing, you know what I mean? But
I like it here. So I'm like, I like the sunshine. I like all.
Listen,
that.
I mean, something very special about Los Angeles. Also, very special about many other places I've visited in this country that I would have a great time working out of as well if I was living there.
Right.
Right. So I have writers living in Kentucky and of course New York and all over the place, and Colorado, and it's just they love their life out there. It's a different life, and it's exciting for them, and it's wonderful, and it's I commend them every day that they get to have that life and be in this business,
And you have access to like a different sort of breed of stories and influences and stimuli. Like you're not just telling like the Hollywood stories. What about this is like very
I always say, but that's a good point you made, Adeep. So life experience is such a great attribute to your skill set in writing, right? It's such a great avenue. It's such a great feeder to what you are passionate and write about in life and storytelling. So life experience, not just growing up and listen, like, becoming a writer here, sure, of course, anybody, you can do that as well and be successful and all that. But like having real life experience, living and like appreciating, having different careers sometimes before you get into this, or experiencing different cultures of life and all of that is crucial. And I have found it to be such an amazing, again, feeder into people telling great stories, because it gives them a chance to experience things that not everybody can experience and have a real point of view on certain stories they want to tell.
Yeah, good point. Nitty gritty question. How does an agent differ from a manager? I was like, I went past that question hours ago, but
oh my God, we haven't answered the question yet.
I know.
That's usually question number 2.
I know it's like it's on the internet. I'm like, just Google it, people. But let's hit it.
It's okay. Listen, in layman's terms, agents, there's the lines are so blurred today, and I pride myself, and I think Verve would pride themselves on saying that we're very managerial in our approach. We're very white glove, kind of white glove, hands-on service in what we do. So we come across sometimes as more managerial in the way we go about our business, and the way we agent. But in layman's terms, agents are the ones that are, in theory, this has been always the kind of discussed mentality for years. But again, this is all blurred now. And I think it's archaic in saying this, but I'll say it anyway. Is that agents go out, hunt and gather, bring back opportunities, put you up for opportunities and jobs and do the deals and negotiate and all that. And managers are the ones that help massage and talk to you and give you notes and kind of help craft your scripts and all of that, and kind of help kind of craft the career. That's all BS, right? I think now, especially speaking for myself, I love every aspect of that. I love getting my hands dirty from the kernel of the idea to the point where it's on the silver or big screen, right? So, small or silver screen. I love the idea of breaking ideas. I love the idea of crafting, giving notes on every draft. I love the idea of taking some, of building and really being an architect of someone's career. that they're and there's managers that will say they love being involved with getting people jobs and being out there helping
Right,
people
right,
work
right.
together. So again, the line is so blurred. Speaking
Yeah.
only for myself and not for any other agent that exists in this business, I
Mhm.
personally, I enjoy every aspect of that. It is what I grew up doing. It's always been my belief. Again, maybe it's the storyteller in me, the film school kid in me, but I've always
Mhm.
loved the idea of being very hands-on in every approach in my client's career. Always.
That's great. Yeah, let's. You said film school kid. Let's talk about film school. There's
Sure.
a misnomer among many people, like you need to go to film school to be a screenwriter or a director, or it helps, or what have you. What's your take on film school now?
Well, it's been so many, it's been years since I've been in film school, but
Right.
I
But let's say like people, people coming up
yeah,
now.
sure,
What?
sure, sure,
What?
sure.
Yeah.
I think film school is a wonderful stepping stone for people understanding the craft of the art, right? Of storytelling, of
Mm-hmm.
filmmaking, editing, producing, writing, directing, all of that, right? Acting, you name it.
Mm-hmm.
Do I think that it translates immediately to the success in the business? Not always,
Mm-hmm.
it. Do I think you need to go to grad? I've always argued, this is where maybe it's even more prominent, that people
Mm-hmm.
say, I went to grad school for filmmaking, I went to this, that, and then like now I'm coming out and I'm learning the business. So I went to grad school for business, and then I wanted, because I wanted to be in the business afterwards. I wanted to be behind the camera, like agent, executive, whatever.
Producer. Yeah.
Yeah. To me, grad school is strapping on your boots, getting in dirty into business,
Mm-hmm.
getting an assistant job, internship, whatever it may be, and just getting
Yeah.
immersed in this business in Hollywood, right? To me,
Mm-hmm.
or the business in sense. To me, that's grad school. So to me, that's important. I think if you really want to learn the business, even for writers, just to be able to work inside an agency or work inside a studio and or a production house or whatever it may be for a producer, manager, whatever it may be, and to be able to learn the nuts and bolts through that, and then take that experience and be able to understand the direction that your script may take, or how it's going to be sold, or how it's going to be marketed, or how it's going to be that. To understand
Mm-hmm.
all of that is such an amazing gift to have, and
Mm-hmm.
it puts you light years ahead of somebody who doesn't have that life experience, so to speak, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's easier said than done. Not everybody can uproot their life and just go
Right.
give up their jobs or careers or family or everything to go work in the business. That is not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying if you're afforded the opportunity to do that and be able to work in this business, I think it's tremendous kind of how would you say success you can get from that, and it gives you a leg up in the business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Because and you're also making connections with other people who are working.
Correct.
And those are things. I mean, I will say I did go film school recently because it was a bucket list thing, but I'm so glad I did. I mean, I left early, but I'm so glad I did it because it was fucking fun. And
you had a great
get to
time.
make
You
movies
enjoyed
all
it.
day. Yeah, it was
you
sweet.
enjoyed it. You got to make movies, and that's awesome. I mean, that there's something so wonderful about that, and that's just so pure, right?
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
exactly. There's a purity in that.
Yeah, there's a purity in that, and there's a purity just getting down to the. I mean, when I was in film school, we were cutting the film, literally with our hands, right?
Yeah,
there was no digital, there was no like computerized like editing, whatever. It was all cutting with our hands with a film. I mean, I really sound like I've got the Roaring '20s again. I'm not that.
I know.
But I mean, I've lived a few years.
We were cutting from candlelight.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm like the old man talking about when I was going to school.
When I was in film school.
But yes, I was, and so there was something so wonderful. I still look back on that today, and honestly, I appreciate and love it. It was magical, and it was something very, very, like you said, very pure about it that I will never forget and always hold true to who I am.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. We have to let you go soonish, right?
In a few minutes. Unfortunately, I have another engagement. Yeah.
Thank you for your generosity and your time.
Of course.
Because I think this is invaluable.
Absolutely.
Let's talk a little bit about maybe people who are further along. They have agents, they have a team, they have a manager, they have a lawyer, they have maybe the whole team. What's the best way to communicate with your team in terms of what you want, like getting reports from that, like, about like where you've been submitted and those sorts of things, like the nitty gritty communication aspect of that
Listen,
relationship.
just be upfront and ask, communicate. Like a lot of writers are like, you should never feel nervous or concerned or discouraged from ever understanding and appreciating, kind of inquiring about your career, what's going on with it, right? You have to like,
Hmm.
if this is your career, I always say, you know, you're the CEO and we're like the COO of your company, right?
Oh,
And
yeah, yeah,
so if you're the CEO, you want to sometimes have like, you want to see the reports, you want to see what's happening, you want to understand where your material has gone, you want to understand
right.
who's saying what, you want to meet somebody, you want to meet that person who works at the other looking looking for, right? So
Hmm.
this is um, this is a very, very important aspect of understanding your own craft and your career is understand it's okay to ask questions. It's okay
Mm.
to want to know and learn and understand what your agent's doing on it, or representative in general is doing on a weekly or monthly, whatever basis. You know, where's
Hmm.
your career headed? Where's going on? Do we have a plan? Do we have a trajectory? Do we know where we're going? Like all of that is such important questions to ask and know. You should never
Hmm.
feel discouraged or concerned about asking that question. If you are, there's probably a bigger issue at hand.
Issue going on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. It's, I mean, and you hear often like from people like, I hate, complaining about reps and that kind of thing. And because they feel like maybe the rep's not doing enough, but potentially it's also you're not communicating your needs to your rep.
Yeah, it's all
Is
the
that,
communication in these things are so important, so needy, right? And so needed, not needy, needed.
yeah.
Um, it's so important to communicate and have that same kind of understanding of where your career should be, and your representative has the same understanding as well. You want to be on the same
Mm,
page
like you're
always,
seeing it the
and
same way.
yeah, you want to be symbiotic in the way you see your careers, right? And if you're
Hmm.
not, then you've got to figure out a way to get to that point. And
Hmm.
if you can't get to that point, then there's clearly a disconnect with you, and it may not be the best marriage, so to speak, business wise,
Sure.
that you want to be in, right?
Right.
So. It's so important to really, really, really appreciate, understand, and be able to communicate with your representative always.
Yeah, this is great. Someone asked, who are you most proud of finding, like in terms of one of your clients?
Oh man,
I know, it's like pick your
that's like
children.
saying which one of my kids is my favorite. I
Yeah,
only have two.
exactly. I can
So
pick. No,
yeah. Wait, are they around? Can they hear
today.
me? Yeah, exactly. It depends what hour you ask me. Now,
Yeah,
yeah, you're not going to get me to say that answer with a straight face. I can, I
yeah.
mean, or the truth is, I truly believe this. If you're a client of mine, I am most proud of everybody I represent. You know, I am proud that they give me the opportunity every day to represent them and put food on their table, I have to say, and put a roof over their head. So
Hmm.
everybody I represent, I am proud and honored and humbled every day by the opportunity and the advocacy I get to do on their behalf. You know,
Hmm.
so it is an honor, and it's and it's something that I don't take lightly, and
Hmm.
I enjoy it.
And to that, like, how did you find maybe your latest clients, like over the last couple of years? Was there like just various ways of you connecting with folks, just to
How
see
did I
sort of
say
like
it
what the,
again? How did I
how
what?
did you find like your latest clients, like your most recent people that you're representing?
Well, I think a lot, and I'm very, again, humbled and honored by this. A lot of them came from my reputation in the business and my
Mm-hmm.
success I've thankfully had, knock on wood, or
Mm-hmm.
here,
Okay.
somewhere, some wood. I mean, there's many wood up here too. But a lot of success I've had, and I think reputation has been, thankfully, has been presented in the marketplace. A lot of, I've gotten some wonderful referrals that way, and people that have come to my attention. Um, and others, it's just from
Mm-hmm.
reading, and listening and watching and seeing things that I love and reaching out and being, I'm very proactive. You know, I'm constantly working, feels like 24/7. What I love, it's what I do. I live for the success for my clients. I live for the opportunity to see them soar. So I'm always generating, always looking for more, always looking to find that next great voice. But I'm also very careful about that. Again, like I said, because you only have so much hours in the day. As much as I might work 23 of them, there's that 1 hour I do want to sleep. You know, so
that's right. Yeah, I mean, this business can feel like a 24/7 business,
yes,
and
correct. But that's okay. I knew it. One of my mentors said to me way long ago when I was at William Morris. He said, "This is what's the this is the career we've chosen. This is the life. This is the path we've chosen in life, right? This is the career chosen. I absolutely knew when I got into this. This is the career and the path I chose, right? And because of that, I accept it with all its positives, negatives, ups and downs, whatever it may be. And that's all I can do. And again, if someone's willing to give me the opportunity to present a better life for them, career-wise, financially, success, and mentally, everything. Who am I to shake a stick at that, so to speak?
So, where do most of your referrals come from, or where do agents get referrals from? Is it lawyers, managers,
it depends.
Execs,
it can be all over.
like
I mean, we have
clients,
at some point in the business, you really you build up a network of people that you trust and you believe in, and that you trust their taste, and you get managers and lawyers and execs and producers and friends and this. I mean, it can come from anywhere. So there's no real one direction, one place. But I've gotten referrals from, you name it, across the board.
Right. And sort of going back to what we were just talking about, like the notion of a work-life balance, or like what the Hollywood, I don't think there is one personally in Hollywood, but is there work-life balance? Is that possible? And then like, how do you prevent maybe burnout from what you're doing, or like a writer even?
Listen, I am by no means someone that takes my own advice sometimes, but 100% you have to find that balance. I tell my clients all the time, take a break, live life, go enjoy, put the pencil down, turn the computer off, go experience life, take the brain and turn it to mentally down to nothing, where you can just explore, go out, travel, learn, accept, feel, all of that. And it's so important for, I think, us as well. The issue that I have, and I have struggled with my career, is that the livelihood of my clients is always at top of mind, and I have to figure out a way. I'm always struggling with it. I'm always trying to balance that way of making sure that my family does come first as well, and
right. You have to put your mask on first.
You have to put your mask on too. Yeah, exactly. But it's how do you balance that? So both of them are getting the attention they both deserve,
Yeah, I do the same. I tell people, self-care is really important, and you can't just be like, just writing all the time. But like, I'm not good at it myself, so I'm just like, it's aspirational for me at this point.
Not easy. I mean,
yeah, we have.
I think we're out of time.
I think we should let you go, because you've answered nearly every question that exists about agenting.
I appreciate that. This has been an amazing, wonderful Q&A. I appreciate it, Adeep. Thank you for all the great questions. Thank everybody who tuned in to listen to me chit chat for a little while, and hopefully there was some inspiration, advice that came out of it. I'll leave you with the notion that, again, I am absolutely blown away by anybody that takes the time to put pen to paper and write something and tell a story. And I know myself, I don't know if I have that capacity, space, attention, craft, whatever it may be. But what I do know is that what you're doing every day, you, Adeep, and everybody else who's listening or watching or doing, or viewing this, is something you should be really proud of, and you should be really, really, really excited about for the future of entertainment. Because it's not going anywhere, and it's exciting to be doing this today. And you know, this sounds very kind of like, again, how would you say, very cheesy in a way of saying, but like, just don't give up. Just don't give up. Right. Continue to fight the good fight, and it'll find its way. You know?
Yeah, I mean, that is the key. Like, don't give up. Like, if you still love it, then don't give up. You know, that's
and there's days you're not going to love it, but the days you don't love it, remember what got you. Remember those moments that you do love about it, and live the fight another day. I say every time, live the fight another day. You know,
that's right. Yeah.
Awesome.
I appreciate it, man.
Thank you guys. I appreciate it. And I appreciate Final Draft, and good luck to everybody.
Yeah. Thanks, Sadie.